talking about the wine out there at the Cherry Festival, and how Michigan wines are beginning to compete with the national and international ones, really. And your grandson, Linenger, basically confirms that, right? By grabbing so many of them to judge the festival.
Every knowledgeable wine person agrees that what Northern Michigan is doing is it's much more of a European style, cold, a cold climate style. It's just remarkable.
And why shouldn't it? When you think about it, I mean, we have such a great industry, agricultural industry, and great food crops here, led by cherries. Why shouldn't grapes also be successful?
That's exactly right. And that light does a moderating effect for us, which keeps fluctuating and things like that.
And we're also joined by astronaut Linenger, who's been kind enough to come by the Park Place Hotel again and share time with us. You're so lucky to live up here all the time.
I am very lucky. Park Place is a beautiful spot. The town's beautiful. Matt's vineyards are very nice up and down. I ride my bicycle a lot, and you see cherry orchards and vineyards, and you think, man, I'm in heaven. This is nice.
Do you ride your bike a lot up and down the hills up there?
Quite a bit. Yeah, I ride in to see my kids' Little League, games here all the time. So I go to Traverse City, Sutton's Bay. It's probably 35-mile round trip pretty much every other day it seems. So I get in a lot of bicycling, and we've got some of the prettiest countryside really on earth. And I can say that with some authority. I've been around the world a time or two, and even Michigan in general. I don't think people understand what a special spot on the planet we live in. And there is no finer freshwater system in the world. And you go over Michigan, and even my Russian colleagues they do the mitten thing. They'd say, Jaddy, Michigan, Michigan. And I look out the window, and there it is, the mitten of Michigan. That's about the only English they spoke. So, even the Russians identify it as one special spot, and we just kind of take it for granted, and, we shouldn't. It's really a precious spot.
Yeah, well, the great thing that I bet they couldn't tell you what Ohio was.
That's exactly right. I should have taught them go blue, but they didn't quite get that down pat. So anyway, I got
what you were suggesting before the break, they wouldn't have remembered.
That's true. Now here's what happened. Here's what happened. They got these resupply ships coming up. I had a spacewalk to do. I was fortunate. I was the first American ever to spacewalk in a Russian spacesuit. It was a brand new test article spacesuit.
Were you worried about that?
A little bit. We had no failures. Testing out any test article, even a U.S. built one, you have some concerns. But we were well trained. I felt good. But they couldn't quite finish it up in time, so they sent it up in a resupply vehicle. Unmanned resupply vehicle. Open it up. You open up that vehicle, and the oranges and the lemons come floating out, and the smell of earth is just, this is wonderful. After 3 smelly guys for 5 months. But in the spacesuit, I'm trying to, I rig it all up, and I'm trying to get my arm in the right sleeve, and couldn't get it in here. And I'm thinking, oh man, they messed up. They sewed the thing shut, or something. I have to cut my arm off to do this spacewalk, and I might have done that because a spacewalk is that fantastic a thing to do. But I finally reach in there and I pull out a bottle of some hard liquor. I forget exactly what, a little Drambuie or something.
It was in the spacesuit?
They had stuffed it in the spacesuit. The guy's packing it down in Kazakhstan. It's like a little special medicine, they call it, in the spacesuit. So I could have used a good bottle of this wine from Northern Michigan, but instead they had that. And it was the only time in my 2 years of studying in Russia and living over there and being in space that a Russian did absolutely insist that I get drunk with them because we had 1 bottle and 3 guys. When I said, that's okay, I'll decline, they were absolutely fine with that for the first time in all my Russian experience. But the way we did it, Frank, is kind of cool too. We take the bottle, took the top off, shook it.
You can't pour it, can you?
Can't really pour it, but you can shake it. You give it a shake, and a blob comes out. Now, it's an ill-defined blob, but eventually it gets to the most stable form, which is kind of a sphere. And then we would take some straws, float up to it, and you would communally drink from this blob until the blob disappeared. So it's very cool.
This comes from another letter that he wrote that's in the book, Letters from Mir. That, by the way, thank you for the book and personalizing it. This is unbelievable. It'll be a great keepsake for me, and I will treasure it.
I wrote, you're a true American patriot on there, and that is true, Frank. I always, people like you, man, I wish the world would listen to common sense people like you, and this country would not be in the state we're in right now. And but we are going to rise out of it, as you know.
If I wasn't foreign born, I'd run for president. Right?
There you go. I'd vote for you. Greatest country on earth, right here.
Thank you so much for saying so. But we get back to another one of those letters to his son John that he was writing. It's all about suction and propulsion. Everything is when you get up there. That's
Yeah,
that's
you know, how do you go to the bathroom in space? I won't get into it too much, but
No.
you can use your imagination on that. You know, the key, Frank,
suction and propulsion.
That's it.
That's all you gotta know.
that's it. You gotta have a good
But
seal.
things like you can't pour anything. I mean, some of the things that when you get into talking about this, you just take for granted, you can never do up there.
You know, Frank, and that's why it is very tiring. At the end of the day, people say, did you sleep? I said, man, I passed out. I was exhausted because any simple thing you do, you know, normal things here, you open up a bag of M&Ms, you have no problem. Up there, you think, okay, before I open this, I have to think this through. I've got to put that bag inside another bag and then triple bag it and then, you know, then open it up, squeeze one or two out, let it get through those other bags, or I'm going to have M&Ms floating all over the place. And in more complicated things, performing, you know, experiments and metallurgy things, you've got to really think things through before you activate anything. And it is a very huge mental challenge, and you put that, in my case, on top of talking in Russian the whole time to do all that.
Yeah.
You know, end of the day, I was mentally...
Did you learn Russian?
I did learn Russian, yes.
Здравствуйте, Frank Beckmann.
I met him as a Russian after a couple shots.
Michigan. That's too good. I want to ask this before we close out. You know what else I'm going to ask you to do? Will you do me a favor this morning?
Sure.
We do play-by-play on the pit spinning contest.
Oh, all right.
I think it'd be so cool. We got Lee Torres over here, right?
Do we have a good player in here? I'll tell you, some of these guys are impressive. I tell you.
Lee's good. He was
All
a
right.
winner last year,
All
I
right.
won the year before. So we've got and Jerry's going to do play-by-play. How good is that?
Hey, you know, I'm gonna do this. You gotta give me some cheers. When I get back in space someday, I'm gonna do a pit spitting contest like on the moon, and that thing will set a world record for sure. It'll be like on a golf course flying, Frank. You know, once you spit, matter in motion stays in motion. And I would,
How
you would just
far would it go?
It would just basically keep.
In
The
a
moon
space?
has a little bit of gravity, but if I was out doing my spacewalk and was able to throw that pit seed,
You know,
it would go on forever and ever and ever and ever.
But here we go. You can't open the spacesuit.
Yeah, that's true.
Little
I guess it would be ping ponging off my forehead about 20 times back and forth.
Couldn't go on the world record during that.
Well, that's a good point too.
That's true.
Okay, 40th anniversary of Neil Armstrong's walk on the moon, and Buzz Aldrin's, by the way.
Yeah, we still talk about it. It's still a great accomplishment. It makes us all proud. And, you know, you still say, hey, we walked on the moon, we can do that. And the way things are now, man, we should all be saying it. We can do anything. We did that 40 years ago. You know, get your heads out of the sand, get out of bed. You know, I always wanted to be an astronaut, Frank. And I was up in Canada camping, looking up at the moon. I said, I want to do that. You know, I was 13 years old, went home, East Detroit. Dad drove a telephone truck, went up to my dad. I said, Dad, I want to be an astronaut someday.
What did he say?
And my dad said, Jerry, if you want to be an astronaut, you know, you study hard, you work hard, you can be anything you set your mind to. If you want to be an astronaut, that's what you're going to be someday. And, you know, I became an astronaut. And again, blue collar neighborhood, East Detroit, you know, you set your mind to stuff. And I guess I just always want to tell everyone that. Auto industry, the problems we're having, things like that. You know, you work hard, you study hard, you can be anything you set your mind to. And that's what the attitude we all have to have. And, you know, we'll come out of this thing just fine and, you know, keep America strong like we should.
Well, we got space shuttles up there and people in the space station.
Talent all over.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah, so get off the couch, study hard, work hard,
You
and
can still do it yourself.
Yeah.
God bless you for saying. Okay, this guy. You gotta get him over there to the wine tent. Get him. Imagine him on a couple glasses of wine.
I would like it, yeah. I
Yeah.
would like to see that.
Or with a straw, you know, just like that. All right, where's Lee? Right here. Come over here. Come over here, my friendly. Lee Torrey is the CPA, and you know Jerry?
Yes, we've met. Nice to see you.
Oh, yeah. Matt, I'm gonna have you, thanks for coming by, great to see you, thanks for the wine and the lessons, and tell them to keep putting the sweet and dry scale on the back. That's a wonderful idea. What they're doing up here at the Grand Traverse Winery. Good stuff. All right, Lee's here. Hi, Lee.
Frank, how are you?
Great, good to see you again.
Nice to see you
How have you
again.
been?
Great.
Good. It's been a year since we met. Have you been practicing?
I have, because last year was close. I only beat you by a few inches, I think.
Yeah, it's true.
The year before that, though, I believe you were dominant.
Yes, dominant performance. All right, what do we get? We have 3 spits?
Yes,
What do we do?
yes.
All right, we've only got 4 minutes to show that. Susan's got these. Jerry, you ever done play-by-play before?
I will try, man. Maybe I can take your spot in Michigan football someday. You know, that'd be a great job.
All right, I'll tell you what, we're gonna take
I
a
will do
break.
my best.
We'll take a break, then we'll come back, and Jerry Linenger will announce the 2009 Frank Beckmann Show Cherry Spinning Contest, Lee Torrey against your humble host, coming